Right, let's get going because we've got a busy, busy day ahead. Welcome everyone to the national conference, the NSEAD National Conference. We've got a really wonderful but flexible programme for you today, organised across 3 sessions. The aim of this conference is to inform you, which is where we're going to begin, and give you space to think about what influence we have as a community and as individuals, and then to explore really practical tools to make sure that we've got real impact to make the change. So that's the shape of the day, and you're very welcome this morning. You're very free to drop in and drop out according to your schedule today. This session is going to be recorded, as is the next one. We've got NSEAD officers on hand. The housekeeping is very simple for an online conference, so I can confirm that there is no fire alarm planned for this morning. You know where the toilets are, I guess, and hopefully you've all got snacks at the ready. Our code of conduct for conference is available and posted in the chat and conference materials. Essentially, it is to be generous and respectful in this community of sharing. So that's the tone for the day. We'll get started. And we're going to open conference with session 1, which is essentially our State of the Nation dive into the key messages and information about what's happening in our subject. 3 of our 4 nations are currently engaged in some form of curriculum review. So naturally, NSEAD has been very actively making the case for our subject and telling it how it is to those who need to know. I'm absolutely delighted this morning to have a fantastic lineup of very well-informed people who are going to tell you what they know, what they have seen, and what they want you to know. So, as is traditional, I'm going to start by inviting the president of the Society, Professor Andy Ash, to open the conference with his president's address. Andy is an artist, an educator, a researcher, a writer. I could go on. Importantly, he's a long-time NSEAD member and leader in the community. The important thing about Andy's work, I think, is that it and he know no boundaries. All of those identities are absolutely interconnected. He believes in the power of exchange, connection, collaboration, and interdisciplinarity. He's an absolute expert at drawing together the threads of art, life, and learning, which I think is very much in the spirit of the times. So in that spirit, Andy, I invite you to open conference.
Okay. So, hello. Thank you for inviting me to open this summer's conference. As Michelle said, I think this focus is quite dear to my heart. I'm particularly interested in better practice, in change, and opportunities to keep up to date with the latest developments for our subject. But also, as Michelle said, I'm interested in how we connect with others and how we exchange ideas. The programme today is designed to be flexible and combines inspiring presentations with the latest research and information to help you, our members, to design a learner-centred and contemporary curriculum in your context, whatever that might be. It's practical. So I'm hoping today you can, try to get something from this, and that there's something there for everyone. But let's start with a short introduction for those that perhaps don't know me. And as the new president, I took office in January of 25, and my term runs until January of 27. I'm an artist, a researcher, and a teacher. I live in Brighton on the south coast, and my studio is in Port Slade, which is the industrial port a little bit along from Hove. And I work at the Institute of Education, UCL, in London. And my practice includes sculpture, film, performance, objects, drawing, print, all sort of in installation or in situ. And I exhibit nationally and internationally. As a way of introduction, I just wanted to show you a piece I've made earlier in the year. I've been working on it for a gallery called Number 32, and we were at the Winter Sculpture Park, which was an abandoned driving range in the Thamesmead Golf and Driving Centre. I performed it on the 1st of March. I like this gallery and this group. I like the DIY nature, its principle of supporting artists, and the sorts of issues and values that they uphold. This piece, Sculpture as Performance, entitled Try Again, Fail Better, is about 25 minutes in length and is a kind of a durational physical piece. I'm anchored by a bungee cord to a fixed point near the driving range building. I'm wearing a safety harness, a bit like a bungee jump harness, I suppose, but I'm running along the ground rather than dropping from great height. And I attempt to run as far away as possible from the anchor on multiple occasions, in multiple directions, struggling to see how far I can get before I'm dragged back or I'm stopped in my tracks. I might be able to plant a red flag, a sign to show how far I've attempted to get each time before I'm exhausted or before I give up fighting the tension, or I'm dragged back. I call myself a sculptor, but as you can see, I have an expansive notion of what that means. Oh, is that too loud, Dan? Firstly, in this piece, I want to build on my, I want to build work around walking pedagogy, around knowing space by moving through space, embodied investigations, and moving and reflecting on self and the act of walking and moving. Secondly, I want to respond to the history and the previous iteration or life of the abandoned driving range to make an in situ piece which has a conversation with the present and the past, something that viewers can make a connection with. And thirdly, I want to integrate the work I've been talking and thinking about with regards to rules, rule breaking, rule bending, including measuring and jumping and judging. I'm thinking about how we judge spatially, distance, and how I can raise questions and manipulate that. I also want to explore the relationship of space and the distance of my body and bodily limits and possibilities. Finally, I want to integrate the work I've been developing about examining my own creative practice, my methodology, and the reoccurring themes. Now, why is this helpful to start with? Well, art as inquiry and curiosity is what drives my practice as an artist and as a teacher. And this is as good as anywhere to start. What drives one to make and what drives one to teach art? I'm going to make a reference to this text as I speak today, and I co-edited it with Peter Carr from BCU, and it came out in April of 24. We sort of worked, well, both of us have been working in ITE for over 25 years and training art and design secondary teachers and collaborating with mentors in schools across the country. And Peter and I were able to capture, and I hasten to add, mainly NSED members, better practice, a more contemporary, forward-looking practice, and set the vision out in this text. I want to start with a quote using the Tate Modern in 2016 during the launch of their new educational extension, the new wing that was put at the back. And the quote I want to use is, "Art changes, we change." Now, the museum aimed to reimagine its purpose, putting learning, community, and contemporary relevance at its core. But 5 years later, many of those ideals, especially around education, were quietly abandoned. This serves as a warning for art and design education today, and then leads me to ask, have we as educators truly changed our practice in line with the world outside of our classrooms? Are we preparing learners for the world they live in, or the one we remember? Now, my thinking is based upon what I see up and down the country in art and design classrooms I visit, and that many of those ideals of transformative education in art and design remain unrealized, And this book set out to challenge traditional approaches and offer practical possibilities. And so does the new NSED strategy and its manifesto. Many teachers enter the classroom with a rich and contemporary understanding of art and design, influenced by critical theory, digital media, and diverse voices. But what they often find is a rigid orthodoxy that's been termed school art by Efland, which focuses on outdated, repetitive practice located in a kind of formalism. This disconnect creates tensions. Some trainees feel forced to teach in ways that contradict their beliefs, while others cling to the orthodoxy for a sense of safety. The result? A curriculum that often fails to prepare learners for the creative and critical challenges of the 21st century. And a side note, an increasing number of our teachers are leaving the profession early in their careers. So what do we do? Well, we need to rethink teaching from a modern, socially relevant, learner-centered perspective. What we need to challenge is that stagnation. It's not just for trainees, but for all art educators looking to reflect, to innovate, and to push their practice forward. Our future goal is to build agency, the power to design your own curriculum, and hope, not as a vague feeling, but as a form of professional action. Hope as a verb, as an action to empower. This book and the work that the NSEAD has been doing invites us to explore how we can bring relevance and purpose back into the classroom. NSEAD has considerable work underway and is presently engaged in a number of areas. For instance, the big landscape, the new 5-year strategy, the way that they're engaging with the curriculum review, the way that they're engaging with the conversation about what design means in art and design, the way that they have generated resources for the Oak, and various research special interest groups like ARERA, the anti-ableist, environmentalist, etc., all pushing us in the right direction of being more contemporary, personalized, and relevant, which is precisely what one would expect from a learned society like ours. We draw on our own journeys, from PGCE to teachers, educators, and the influence of our mentors who taught us begin with our own identities, our own values, and our specialisms. Back in the 1980s, Fraser Smith described various art and design types, such as a high priest, the technocrat, the social worker, and the mystic. Now, these categories help us understand the philosophical tensions that still exist today. Teachers can become trapped in their values, creating educational blind spots. So, for instance, a technocrat might overly focus on skills and ignore creative thinking, whereas a mystic might reject structure entirely. Smith warned us that unless teachers reflect on these identities, their teaching risks becoming disconnected from learners' needs. So let's fast forward to 2007. Addison and Burgess outlined 10 curriculum types. These included the likes of perceptualist, formalist, issue-based, postmodern, and critical and contextual. Now, most departments don't rely on just one. They're usually a combination, but some approaches dominate. And as a teacher, it's valuable to analyze your department's identity. What kinds of projects are common? What skills and perspectives are prioritized? Or importantly, what is ignored? Even the language that is used, visual arts versus the design studio. I ask all of my trainee teachers to note, what is the label over the department door? These tell us something. And I encourage you today to reflect on your department culture. Start there when you want to replan. The organizational theorist Gareth Morgan coined the term psychic prison, a way of describing how people get trapped in familiar patterns of thought. And in education, this might mean we present the same project and assessments, not because they work, but because they are familiar. Morgan's art approach helps us to break that cycle. It talks about how we need to acknowledge unhelpful thinking, how we can move to try to reframe and replace those thoughts, and then start to take action with new strategies. And this framework can support us in developing a dynamic, more responsive practice for the future. The book is constructed around 3 kinds of curiosity and can guide our teaching. Imaginative curiosity, starting with what we know, our lived experiences, and playing with that creatively. Epistemological curiosity, a kind of deeper opportunity to go deeper into knowing and into knowledge, and asking why and how and what if. And then the third category, critical curiosity, challenging assumptions, asking those voices that are missing, whose perspectives are dominating. Now, this structure allows teachers to grow personally and professionally, choosing a pathway that fits the stage and the context. Curiosity is key to revitalizing art and design teaching. It is also it's also what gets me up in the morning, and I would imagine it's the same for you. You need to imagine, as you can see, yes, I was just drawing attention to the image there. I was just looking at Darwin. As you can see from my image, my curiosity has led me to engage and collaborate with a wide range of interesting people. The Big Landscape is the perfect vehicle to support you in this journey and to revitalize your curriculum. It's designed with busy teachers in mind and for the people who want to develop knowledge in new areas and refresh their curriculum. It gives you pedagogy and classroom practice, modeling, cognition. It facilitates theory meeting practice, social, political, digital themes, and it supports critical and contemporary issues like decolonizing, queering the curriculum, anti-ableism, sustainability. It provides exemplars of visuals to convert and to use in your context. And it shows how to shift the narrow diet of art, how to bring into contemporary society with values. It's not a one-size-fits-all, off-the-shelf type of bought curriculum like others peddle commercially. It needs you to explore and curate for your context. It allows you to interpret to your community and learners. And as one of our colleagues, Dan China, has been exploring how AI can help us to engage with the big landscape to plan schemes of work. More of that in the future in the NSE newsletters. I would argue that hope is not passive. It's a verb. It's active. Hope means striving, acting, believing that things can improve and that we have a role in shaping that future. Don't allow it to be imposed upon us. I'm asking you to reclaim the space. Through reflection, through dialogue and experimentation, we can co-create a curriculum that reflects who our learners and who they could become. This book and the NSED's relentless work gives us tools, questions, and pathways to begin that journey from our own here to a more meaningful there. We have to do it for ourselves. We have seen how successive governments are not interested in art and design, and so we need to act together as a community. This is why I find this conference focus crucial in that journey. Hope isn't just wishing your photocopier works in the morning of your lesson. It's believing you can plan a whole new unit and remember where you left the glue guns. Feel free to Google and to look on Routledge's website, where there is presently a 25% discount for conference attendees, and I've put the codes on the corner there. And all of the things that I've referred to with regards to today, you can find on the NSED website, and it's free for our members. So thank you for listening today, and I'll leave you with these questions. Which typology best describes your department? What kind of curiosity are you currently exploring. And I encourage you, as we progress through the day, to interact and self-reflect. And to finally, I'd like to end on an open and optimistic note. And I want to encourage all of us today to enter into a dialogue and to explore the possibilities today and what is on offer as NSAID members. So please follow up. I'm always interested to hear from people. I use Instagram for my weekly art making and updates, and my website has a blog. Monthly, I tend to sort of have discussions, more detailed discussions on themes and ideas of the work that I'm involved in. I run an artist teacher network where we meet every 2 months in where we look at our own practice, and we have various pop-ups in different spaces in London. And the next one will be at the National Gallery in July. And one of the things that a new initiative that we've been working on at the NSAID is the idea of more regional networks. I co-lead with Jed Gass, the NSAID's Southeastern London network, and we meet termly. And we're always looking for interesting venues, and we're always looking to sort of bring new people. Now, this is now rolling out as a model across the UK in the autumn term. So those of you outside of London will start to see regional meetings in the Midlands, the Southwest, Scotland and Northern Ireland, I think, are first, and others are to follow. So if you're interested, please contact. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and thank you for attending this conference. Okay.
Thank you, Andy. Wow.
Timing was good, Michelle.
You always spot on with the timing, Andy, which is why you keep us in order at meetings of council and F&GP as well. So thank you so much. What a start to conference, and that idea of hope being something that we actively do, not just something that we have and